got the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk.
I mean, do I really growl? It is a Tuesday on the program, and if you needed further convincing, just look no further than the graphic on the screen that says Hello Tuesday. The best part about Tuesday is that it's not Monday. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room, Professional Door Incorporated text line 391-0788. Morning, Stephen. Good morning, Prometheus. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, they kind of are. Yeah. Well, I don't want to interrupt the song. Let's let the song finish, and then we'll get into it. I get yelled at all the time when I interrupt the song, which I'm doing right now. All right, there we go. You know, there was an episode of Seinfeld. Hey, what's up, Comey Telestora? I hope I pronounced that right. There was an episode of Seinfeld. It was just some random thing. And I think it was the one where Jerry Kramer and Newman were trying to go out and capture a little dog that was keeping a lane awake. Hey, look, Southwest Virginia to Texas, you don't have to, you don't have to ask twice. I mean, if you wanted Selma, then you got Selma. Yeah. I mean, it's not something that's going to be denied. So there you go. There you go. But, there was that episode talked about, hey, what's going on, Yams? Good to see you. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. But they're talking about what days have a feel, right? Monday has a feel. We dread it. Back to work. Tuesday, does Tuesday have a feel? It kind of doesn't. It's just Tuesday. Wednesday, you're in the middle of the week. Thursday has a feel because you're one step closer to Friday. Usually a lot happens at work on a Thursday, at least for me. Thanks, Kobe. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, hang out. Just whenever you want to check us out, tell your friends. Even if you don't watch all the time, if it helps, if you just stay subscribed, that'd be great. Thank you and welcome. Friday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all have feels. So really, I think the only day where it doesn't have a feel is Tuesday. Tuesday is just there. What's up, T-Bird? On winter weather, Dave Matthews hits songs you don't rhyme and all things Panera. You do cry. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Marva in Miami joins us a little bit later this hour. And today, Brian Siegler, his wife has to have some minor surgery, so she's not going to be on, but we'll talk to Shelton Moss from the Boundary Corner. Shelton does a great job. And then Mike Burnip here today. Good morning, Mr. Lester. Good morning. So we have all that coming up. So, yeah, Tuesday has a feel. Does not have a feel. Are we agreed that Tuesday does not have a feel? Like, you go in on a Tuesday, and is it really we are in the show is in southwestern Virginia, Comey. We're in the United States. But we serve the world, as you know, because you're from Syria. It's great. It's great. We have, by the way, Comey, we have 14 international subscribers. I checked again last weekend, just random. It's really cool. For me, it just feels bad to me. So we'll just say Tuesday just feels bad. All right, so I'm going to write about this week in the Patriot. And I was thinking about this. And I want to get your take. This is going to be off the usual thing we talk about, but I'm talking about American men's tennis. And for some reason, you go down these rabbit holes, right? You'll be at lunch at work, or you just kind of want to zone out. So you get on Instagram, which I really have no idea how to use. But sometimes things will pop up and you like it or you watch it, you keep getting them. So I've been watching some of the, men's tennis. There were sit-down interviews with like Andre Agassi, Jimmy Connors, and John McEnroe, and Bjorn Borg. And they were talking about their 5 toughest opponents. It was awesome. And they went into detail. They showed history of their matches. And I was thinking, something that goes underrated, and I think this is worthy of a column this week. Something that goes underrated, at least in my sports. I don't know who Mr. Beast is, but thank you, I think. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? If it's a bad thing, no thank you. But when growing up, whether it was Wimbledon, the French Open just seemed like it was always so hard because it was on that clay, that brown and orange clay. And then the U.S. Open, I didn't ever pay much attention. The Australian Open, because it always happened in 12 hours difference or whatever. Oh, okay. Well, then I appreciate that. And please subscribe to the program. Oh, Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world? Really? Okay. Well, tell him Rick said, hey, that's great. Thank you. But watching the passion in those matches, we watched, obviously we all loved our team sports. But watching those tennis tournaments stand out, my brother was a really good tennis player. He had a scholarship. And so he played, and we were always interested in it. But I was thinking about how much I got into those matches and how you just kind of would latch on. I couldn't wait for breakfast at Wimbledon when it was one of the American players going to try to, to win it. And I liked them all. Pete Sampras was probably the best one of the four. But those four always intrigued me, and I tried to watch, right? Whether it was, I guess in order, it was Connors, then McEnroe, Agassi, and Sampras were kind of at the same time. But I'm telling you, we don't have that anymore. And I don't know what happened to American men's tennis. We had Venus and Serena. I guess Serena was the dominant. You can make the argument she's the best and most dominant women's tennis player ever. So we had the American representation from Serena. I'm going to ask Marva about this. But on the men's side, because Marva likes to watch tennis, she gets into it. On the men's side, they tried to feed us Andy Roddick for a while. And there really hasn't been anybody since. And I miss that. It was just something about watching those matches and how hard they always looked, right? And the personalities always came through, and the rivalry. Like you could tell Lindell and Connors and McEnroe and Connors didn't like each other. Agassi was trying to beat this reputation that he was just a spoiled kid. He had the long hair. Then he tried to hang on too long with the receding hairline. But you rooted for him. And then Sampras was just a consummate pro. He was just the consummate pro, right? He just went about his business. He was the best one, I think. Yeah, McEnroe didn't really like anybody. But he's really cool in that interview. I have to get the specifics and let you guys know what it is. It's really cool. I think it's worth a watch. It's only about a 15-minute interview, 12 to 15 minutes. Nadal, and I did, for me, I liked Nadal and Federer matches, all that stuff. I mean, they're great. They're two of the best of all time. All right. This is not saying there haven't been dominant, great tennis players, because there have. But from my perspective, just from the American side, I wish there was one or two or three. I wish we could have that again. And it's one of those things that it's probably not going to be a major thing to a lot of people. Thanks, everybody, all the new subscribers. Appreciate that. It's probably not going to be a major thing to a lot of people, but to me, I think that's something we miss out on. Because it's a summertime distraction. We don't have football. If you're not into baseball, basketball is about over. You got Wimbledon in the summer. You've got U.S. Open toward the beginning of football season. French Open, I can't remember when, but all that stuff falls in together. But I know there's great players today, so I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I wish we had some kind of fervor about an American batch of players that had the personality and the bravado. Because I thought that was a nice distraction. You get so much into your team sports, whether it's your Tech fan, I'm a Broncos fan, you're sitting around, you can kind of get a break. So let's watch it. Let's watch Wimbledon. Gabriella Sabatini, oh yeah, on the women's side. So I don't know. I just started watching those thinking, why don't we have that today? It just bugs me. And I don't know where we are in terms of, I'm sure there's got to be feeder programs, right? You're exactly right, what may say. Keep going, keep running. But man, they were showing some of the classic points of Jimmy Connors. Remember that night at the U.S. Open? I remember who the opponent was. He kept making impossible save, and then he hit this crossing shot down the line. And the crowd, and that's when he did the fist pump to the crowd, and he was doing all that. Crowd was just going nuts. You talk about a pop, man. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I never searched it out either. It was just always there when we see it. Bud Collins at Wimbledon. Yeah, exactly. I was the same way. Like I didn't follow it at all, really. The Davis Cup used to mean something, kind of like the Ryder Cup in golf. The Davis Cup, remember that? And McEnroe talks about it because one of his big rivals is Boris Becker. And I think they had like a 5.5 hour match or something. Becker came back and beat him in the fifth set. So it was really interesting to hear those guys talk about. And Jimmy Connors is 73. He looks great. He looks exactly the same. Johnny Mac's got the gray lid now. So, so you know. But anyway, just a random thought that I had. I wish we had men's tennis players, kind of like it goes back to golf. We don't have anybody here that is marketable, that goes out and captivates us. You try to put people over, right, after Tiger, but it doesn't work. NASCAR doesn't work. Maybe I'll combine all three. Yeah, I get it, Prometheus, and it's going to get worse. Streaming has not been this boon that I think a lot of the leagues and networks thought they were going to be. Oh, and by the way, have you seen this? This is totally, completely unattached to the last topic. But so yesterday, rumors broke. This is how horrible Disney is with all the things that they own. They are going, there's a lot of rumors on the intraweb here on YouTube that they are going to completely erase the sequels of the Star Wars franchise because they were so horrible, so poorly received, that they're somehow just going to retcon it and get rid of it. And they're going to start over at the end of Return of the Jedi. You remember they brought in Rey, the female, who already knew how to do everything. She didn't need to be trained. She did it better than Luke. You remember they killed Han Solo? Kylo Ren was a terrible villain. Never once did you look at him and go, oh, he's really frightening. What a step down. What a step down from Darth Vader. But Disney is just horrible. So they've, and you're admitting failure. You're admitting that, okay, this sucks, right? People don't like it. I thought that was pretty funny. We'll see if it actually happens, but there were a lot of rumors and from many credible sites that that's going to happen. I don't know how you get rid of it in people's minds, but that's what they're going to try to do. The sequel trilogy was a classic dream. Yeah, that's what they're going to do, isn't it? They're going to make it like a different universe, kind of like what Marvel's doing with this horrible Doomsday movie that's coming up. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make it like it happened, and they're going to go back to the end of Return of the Jedi and try to reboot the thing. But the problem is you don't have writers that understand the subject matter. You don't have writers who grew up fans of it because they're usually so much younger. They're going back and just watching old movies or reading old books. Hell, the reason Marvel started to fail, Kevin Feige, who runs the studio there at Marvel, said, hey, we don't want you to read the source material. We want you to approach it with a new mindset. It'd be like me, let's say Virginia Tech's playing Miami, and I didn't watch the game, and I don't know who won. I'd come on the show, and I'd come out, and I would go, oh, I know who, Big Al, I got you. That was Kristen, by the way. That was the sister for Mary Ellen. Kind of a letdown, to be honest with you. Kind of a letdown. I believe she was an actress that was Bing Crosby's daughter, right? Am I remembering that right? Wayne is on vacation, so he's our pop culture guy, so he's not here this week. Where's Morris? Morris still sleeping? We didn't get our open this morning. That was Kristen. Kristen shot JR. But you talk about something that just took the whole nation by. I mean, was that not the biggest carryover into the next season, the biggest whodunit cliffhanger ever in TV history? What do you think, Big Al? I can't think of anything that approaches that. That was back when entertainment was actually entertainment. But yeah, that'd be like me coming on and, hey, how about that tech game? Anybody want to tell me who won? That's kind of what Feige wanted from people who were writing these Marvel characters that they didn't understand. Was that the first real cliffhanger? It kind of feels like it. That was a worldwide sensation. It was the number one show. Larry Hagman, who was also the NASA, the astronaut on I Dream of Jeannie, was such a great villain. Man, he played that role so well. So I think you're right, Southwest. I think it is. I think it probably has to be. Nothing like that would happen today. First of all, it'd be spoiled on the internet, be on social media. All right. A glimpse of how bad the future would be in media and sports. Well, I didn't even watch Dallas, and I knew all about it before the interwebs. Indeed. I was thinking about two of my favorite childhood heroes died this year: Hulk Hogan and Chuck Norris. This means I'm getting old. Yeah, I know, man. A lot of folks, yeah, you get sad. I watch a lot of these old clips of like the Tonight Show and other things, and Tony Gwynn being my all-time favorite baseball player. Whenever I see something with him, I'm like, man, I can't believe he's gone. I'm with you. You get a little down. Get a little down. Yeah. But we try to carry on. I guess the memories, I guess sometimes the memories are good. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're not. So I have this, I don't know why he does it, but sometimes Creed is upstairs. I hear him up there. He wants out the upstairs door, which means he's probably got a critter. So if I have to bolt for a second, I got to go let him out. So y'all can talk amongst yourselves here. So I think I'm going to do that here right now. By the way, Marty Smith and Coach Ragsdale tomorrow. All right, I'm going to go do that right now. I'll be right back. I can hear him up there, and it's going to drive me crazy. Y'all can't hear it. Y'all can't hear it, but I can. It's right above me, so I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. He is, and sure enough, he went chasing after something as soon as he went out. Yeah, they did, Prometheus. They did. They tried to remake it with, like, I don't know, nephews and children. Did not last. It had to be terrible. I'm not sure that the entertainment anybody in the entertainment realm can make anything consistently good. There's going to be outliers. But I think for the most part, we are just full of a bunch of folks who don't care about the subject matter. Studios that don't care about it at all. That want to get across agendas. They want to get across whatever it might be. I don't know. We're in a bad entertainment time, and we need it. We need our outlets now more than ever. Which is why we don't give up on sports, despite everything that's going on, especially in college sports. I already missed Peaky Blinders. Ah, here we go. There's Morris from Terrible Tuesdays, where BDST is here to liven things up. A lineup like Marva, Moss, and Burrow will fill your intellectual cup. There's no doubt. Shelton's very intellectually driven. He is. Documentaries are good, yeah. Yeah, documentaries are good. But you're right. There's nothing. Network TV has nothing to offer. Some of these shows are okay. My fiance just got Paramount Plus, so we're going to start watching Landman. But there's nothing very good. Yeah, the Oscars are a complete joke now. You can't win an Oscar really unless you're, well, let's just say it the way it is, a minority, one of the groups that you have to be part of. It's just, the whole thing is just stupid. So this, by the way, I posted this on the Facebook page. Nick Lord wrote this. So the University of Maryland is freezing hiring. We're not talking about the athletic department. We're talking about the university. They're cutting at least 150 jobs while paying its football coach $6 million, men's basketball coach $3.5 million, and still writing $1.5 million checks to a coach who hasn't worked there in 5 years. So what is the problem? Well, Nick Lord says the real problem is that the athletic departments at flagship Publix are operating on a revenue model built decades ago, leaning on the same streams they've always relied on, where most schools are operating at a deficit. Then they hit a 10% state funding cut, and the only lever left is headcount in the academic buildings. He says this is the seam every athletic director in the country is sitting on right now, where the cost side has gone fully professional, but the revenue side has not. The real answer isn't cutting custodians or capping coach pay. It's treating the athletic department like the commercial enterprise it really is, with the alumni base, the corporate citizenships, and the brand inventory monetized at its true value. Maryland has 400,000 plus living alumni, one of the most valuable commercial assets the university owns. At most flagship Publix, that base gets touched once a year for an annual giving ask, and otherwise sits dormant. The athletic brand is the front door to all of it, and almost no school is monetizing it at anything close to its actual value. The coaches aren't bankrupting these schools. The missing revenue infrastructure is. So what's your thought on that? It kind of makes some sense, and it kind of maybe tells us this is how Virginia Tech kind of looked at itself inside out, which is why it's starting to broaden out a little bit. I'm going over tomorrow night to the Blacksburg Sports Club dinner, and I'm going to try to just feel that out, maybe ask some people some questions for the show. So it's going to be interesting to see. Maryland it's a good piece. We got a lot of response on it. And I think most universities are going to have to figure this out. This is professional sports. At least that side of it is professional sports. So the university, the presidents are going to have to change their mindset. And I think when Franklin talks about how, the president has to be in lockstep with what the athletic program, the football program needs, that's likely what he's talking about, right? Turning it over to, just begrudgingly if we have to, turning it over to professional sport. Because that's what it is. And I think before we see any adjustment in player salaries or anything like that, we're going to see this turn into more of a marketing, just like the NFL, exactly, Al, just like the NFL tries to do. Now, as much as we criticize them, the leaders of the SEC and the Big Ten have already seen this, and this is what they are working to do behind the scenes. I talked to a Big Ten guy yesterday, and I asked him the question. I said, so how close are we in reality to the big breakaway, the separation from the NCAA? He said, I would not be surprised to see it happen in the next year. How about that? And he's talking about those two leagues finally saying, we're done. See ya. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. He works at a very prominent Big Ten institution. Yeah, we talked about that, Al. Yeah. And you're going to see more of that. We've seen what the Big 12 did. They partnered corporation to get. So there's starting to be some forward thinking about it. So what the universities need to happen, just reading that article, they need to go, you know what? Let's go for it. Let them do what they need to do. Whatever might be out of the box, out of the norm, doesn't matter anymore. How can football and basketball and pay-for-play function where it's not affecting on campus, draining our reserve, having to budget extra monies for that? Let's allow the athletic department to market itself to raise all that money to take care of that, or at least as much of it as they can. You can't ever probably raise all of it. But if we're starting to get in the realm of $50 to $60 million payrolls, and my guy yesterday said he saw that from Whittingham, and he said, he's right, but he's wrong about the amount. He goes, there's going to be 20 to 30 programs that are going to be over $50 million. Imagine that. Imagine that. So you're going to see corporate entities get more involved. You're going to see partnerships pop up more and more. The Big 12 trying to be trendsetters, got out ahead of it. I think you're going to see the SEC and the Big 10 announce some big deals coming up. Why not? The Big Ten's got on a roll right now. They won all three major national championships. And again, it has to be separate from it always being expected to come from the state. For taxpayers, for your boosters, you can still go that route, obviously, as the article pointed out. Does Maryland tap into their alumni base enough? I don't know. Virginia Tech clearly was not, I guess, which is why they went back for the big ask, and they got it, at least in athletic donations. And maybe that's what Jay Pearson was alluding to. He didn't say it very well when he said, hey, we're already behind. Thank you, but we're behind. We need more. So don't be surprised to see Virginia Tech sooner than later. And I'm going to ask these questions tomorrow, right? I think John Rakovich is going to be there tomorrow. And I'm just going to ask, I'm not going to try to dig for information. I'm going to ask, what do you think about this? What do you think? Just to kind of get a vibe. And if you get a positive reaction, that's probably something that's on the table. So I would expect at some point, Virginia Tech being a strong veterinary school in particular, and engineering school and all the great things that they have to offer in terms of national prominence, I have a feeling you're going to see them hook up with some mega corporation. Or maybe it's the ACC, just like the Big 12. Big 12 had the big announcement, but I think these other leagues, can you imagine what it would look like for the Big 10 and the SEC? And it won't be exclusivity because they're going to want as much money as potential as possible. So it won't be exclusive. But I think it's coming, and the article makes a lot of sense. The only way this is going to coexist is if, really, to be honest, you have to just treat it like a totally separate entity if you're campus at these places, especially at the Power Fours where the most money is being paid out to athletes. It all makes sense, to be honest. To me, it makes a lot of sense. However you can get the money in there, then let it happen. Let it happen. Yeah, exactly. You can't just keep going to the same donors over and over again. I mean, at some point, they're going to go, what am I getting out of this? Right? We're talking about that with Will and Andy last. It's like, what are we getting out of this? Okay, here's more money. Oh, okay, I get my seat again. Well, I don't know, T-Bird. How much more ugly can it get before it's leaders NASCAR the thing to college football as yesterday's news? The biggest difference is NASCAR was more of a regional follow to begin with, right? I mean, it's a southern sport now. Its roots never really carried it nationally. The closest it ever came was when Dale Earnhardt was battling Jeff Gordon, right? College football is nationwide. Now, you can argue in the Northeast, it's not that big a deal, or it's not as big a deal. But coast to coast, where the Big Ten, by the way, now resides, it's a pretty big deal. I think fans would like to have the relief of knowing that, okay, look at this. They've got, I don't know how many millions coming from this group, that group. But boy, now we can go to games, and now we're not expected to have to continue to be prodded and give and give and give and give. The universities will be more in tune to be able to focus on what is their main drive, and that's the educational value of its doors, or what it should be. I think most universities have lost sight of that as well. They've turned into grooming institutions. But Prometheus says NASCAR pulled one of their southern tracks. Yep. They tried to change it. They did. It was a terrible game plan. They tried to market in areas that just didn't give a damn about NASCAR. You're exactly right. Hey, we had Dover, Delaware. Let's try to appeal more to that area. Yay. Pocono. Yay. Then they extended further out west, and they've had lukewarm reaction there. They lost sight of their identity, and I think when that happens, when you lose your identity as either an individual or sports league or school or anything, then you get into a lot of trouble, and you're not going to have success. And I think that's what we saw with NASCAR. Terrible leadership. They didn't know how to respond when Dale Earnhardt was killed. They did not know how to respond. They were not prepared for that, even though they know how, and everybody knows how dangerous the sport is. Correct. I agree 100%. The NFL is so popular, they feel untouchable, so they're doing all these things. They know that it angers the fans here in America. They know. The American fans are offended. They feel like, oh, they have to give up a home game already. It was something I had to pay for, but we're giving one up because we have to go and we have to watch our team play in Europe. And they're trying to latch on to that to capture as many international dollars as they can. And I just don't think it's a long-term thing. All this stuff about putting a team in England, that's not what the league needs. The league doesn't need that. Correct, Morris. 100%. 100%. So anyway, it's a good conversation. Joining us now in this conversation is that young lady. It's Marva in Miami. Good morning, Ms. Marva. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Before we get into anything, take us through your daughter's ceremony last week. How'd it go?
It was a very nice ceremony. I mean, just imagine a bunch of kids, very nervous. They had like some older kids that went up and they did some little speeches about what it means to be in the National Junior Honor Society. And they were, I could tell most of them were terrified. But, they did little speeches in front of a crowd of parents and, grandparents mostly. And I was looking at my daughter who was sitting down. So what she had to do is she would go up and they would say the little pledge and they gave them little candles and they had to light their candle on another kid's candle. Okay.
Okay.
Then you walk back to your seat. Okay. I'm looking at her and I can tell she's hyperventilating. So I'm just doing this. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Breathe. So when she goes up, everything goes okay with the lighting. She was a little nervous about the candle, but after her turn is over, she is so nervous. When she walks back, she walks so fast that her candle blows out. But fortunately, there's a kid. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Also, I see we're having some internet issues. So hopefully we'll work through those. There's a kid beside her and they let her light her candle on theirs. So everything's fine. But it was just so nice to see the way the kids were supporting one another. And immediately after the ceremony, they have them all, or actually right before it ends, blow their candles out because that many kids standing up there with candles. I'll be honest with you, Rick, I was a little bit nervous because there were some kids who seemed very fascinated by the fire. So
fire, Prometheus. Yeah,
I was very happy when they blew those out. But then it was a big rush to the cookie and cake table. So, it was a nice little ceremony.
Always a rush to the cookie and cake table, right? I mean, that's
and as a parent, you want to lay back, you want to let the kids have a chance, and you're thinking, oh, am I even going to get a cookie? But finally, yes, I did get one.
That's great. Now, you always, whenever you're out there with your daughter and she's around her classmates, you have to deal with the just immense jealousy of the other parents going, our kid's not as attractive as Marva's.
No, it was nothing like. Everybody was very nice, Rick. There's nothing like that.
Telling you, they're thinking it. They may not display it, but they're thinking it.
Nobody said anything. Everybody was very supportive and nice.
Was that how she was introduced? By the way, here's one half of the two most beautiful children that's ever been created.
I know that would have been weird. That would have been
me if I'd have been the MC. Yeah, I would have embellished that part. I would have.
No. Super
so
sweet.
We're talking about. Well, it's just true. You two are just they're just beautiful kids. Anyway, so we're talking about what is going on corporately now. Like the Big 12 just signed a big deal, right? They've got corporate sponsorship, and they're going to. Mm-hmm. Is North Carolina? Have you heard
about the Duke deal also with?
Yeah, the Duke deal. That's what I was going to ask you. Have you heard about Carolina? I mean, come on.
I'm sure that people. I mean, when I first heard this news, honestly, I was upset. I was like, "What?" They have this big deal, and I was like wondering. I haven't heard anything, but I am sure if
gotta be.
Carolina people were not working on this, that they're working on it now, because
Exactly.
I mean, that was a big deal, and it's a coup for them, to have this big exclusive rights deal and all this pumping even more money into a program that has already a lot of money. Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's the wave of the future. And, I hope that Carolina's pursuing something like this. You want to get that right partner and get even more of a money boost. At the same time, I don't want Carolina to be left behind. So that's why. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's a little gross, isn't it? Like, but I guess that's what you have to do to compete these days.
Absolutely.
So you got to, either get with it or get left behind. So I'm sure people at Carolina are working right now trying to figure out what kind of deal can we get. And one thing I don't like about it is for the fans also, these games on these streaming services, because they are not the best. And I'm sure they're going to get better every day, blah, blah, blah. But it's so comforting to know, I can turn on CBS and I can watch this game or whatever, or I can turn on ABC. And we also forget everybody doesn't have these streaming services. And I really hate that that's happening. And, ESPN has a Super Bowl coming up this year. And I'm sorry, next season has a Super Bowl. And, my husband's like, they're going to put it on streaming. I'm like, no. I said, it's going to be, or it's going to be on ESPN. I said, I'm sure it's probably going to be, because they have a million networks. It's going to be on ESPN, ESPN2. You can see all these different views of it. I'm sure the big game, though, will still be on broadcast TV. I'm sure they're going to throw it on ABC. But he's like, yeah, but in the future, these games, or these big games, are going to go away. And I just think that's, for the average fan who doesn't have all these streaming services. Like, for example, I don't have Peacock. I think one year I got Peacock for a sporting game, maybe for Olympics, and I hated it. It was such a bad experience. And I'm just refusing to do that. I know that they have some of the NBA playoffs. Some of them are on streaming, and I just like, I don't have to see all those games. I don't watch all those games anyway. But if it's something I really want and it's on that, I know it's going to make me sad, but I will turn over there and just kind of hold my nose, because I just don't think I just don't think they're as good. And I'm not talking about their broadcasters. I'm talking about just the platform. I mean, I know this is not as sophisticated, but this morning I'm having some kind of weird internet issue and my camera's been going on and off a few times. It's annoying.
You look fine. Fine.
It's annoying when it's me, but when it's a game you really want to see, it goes beyond annoying. And I mean, I'm wondering, are people going to be going back to the apps, and a lot of fans would like to listen to things on the radio anyway, because you have a certain broadcaster you love and you want to hear, and people do the whole sync thing. But if the broadcast is messed up, you can't do the sync. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that.
Well, I agree with Prometheus. I'm not tempted by buying. They're not going to bait me either. I like when they took, college football, ESPN couldn't get a deal done, allegedly. That whole thing wasn't real when they were it took them off YouTube TV because they realized they had the most subscribers now. And we missed like 2 to 3 weeks. And they got the deal done because they wanted people to subscribe to their new bundle, right? Oh, well, you're missing out. Big games this weekend. I didn't care. And I was just like, I'm not going to do it. Right. Just not going to do it. So
but, I'm wondering. If you already have it, though, you may turn. But it's just not, to me, it's not as good of an experience. So.
No, I'm with, and the thing with Duke too, how do they get around the grant of rights from the ACC to broadcast certain? I don't understand how all that works.
Well, they said there were meetings about this, and I don't know what was done in those meetings. I mean, we may never know. But yeah, when I saw that news, I was not happy about it. It's like, Dukies,
All right. Well, we were asking about that, and I want to ask you about this because I'm talking about this, and I was watching these things. You've probably already seen them because you're a huge tennis fan. So I've been watching these sit downs with like McEnroe and Connors and Bjorn Borg and Andre Agassi.
I actually have not seen that. Cool.
These are great. They're like
where 15, can you see those?
I don't know. They show up on Instagram. When I get the account, I'll send it to you.
Okay, because I would love.
It's really good. It's like 15-minute interviews, and the guys are just sitting there, and they're going 1 through 5. Their biggest rivals. Their toughest talks about
fun. I'd love to see that.
It's really cool. It just reminded me growing up how much tennis was part of your fanship as a, as you
We
love
like sports,
sports.
yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't wait to watch Wimbledon. I couldn't wait to
Mhm.
watch the US Open. And now we have no American men that captivate or
It's
do
been a
anything.
while. It's sad. I mean, we've got some American men competing, but the thing is, they're not winning these majors, and so
I don't know who they are. Like, who
kind
are
of
they now? It's
forget
like,
about some of them, and so Rick, I keep hoping we're going to figure this out and get some American men in there again. I mean, we still have been doing okay with the women. I mean, not as much as before, but we're doing okay. But with the
well,
men,
we
there's
had
something-
Serena and it
Yeah,
ends.
no.
Like when Serena left, it just stopped on the women's side too, for Americans anyway.
For a while it did, yeah. So it's tough. I mean, I know that in terms of the majors this year, I just haven't been tuning in as much. And I know once
No.
we get around to Wimbledon, that's always near, like 4th of July. Once that starts up, I'll be watching some of those, but not as much as I used to. And it's just, I don't know how you build that up. You've got
I
people
don't either.
going to different sports, and you can understand why. There's something that recently happened in the college ranks that I think may help, because we're talking about a lot more players are actually going to college. Before it was like, you're a phenom, you go immediately from juniors to the pros. But we have some players who are doing stops in college. Now, maybe it's with the NIL, but there was a provision that if they were competed in a professional tournament, they couldn't keep the prize money, which seemed crazy with all those things that are going on with NIL. So some people challenged that in court, and now that won't be the case. So maybe you'll have more players going that route, and it'll maybe build up that way. And I always get excited about certain players who are making noise, and then they don't go far enough to win. And so
They're
you don't
gone.
see
Yeah.
these things. So maybe, there was a bit of a golden era, and, it's just going to take some time.
Well,
there's so much, they're doing so many things, like with the changing of the rules and going to electronic only in some cases. And I don't know. It's different. You want to get it right, of course.
And now we're seeing college programs being the first. They're being the first casualties of all the money that's being spent by athletic. We've seen like 30, I think I saw, between top of Division I down through Division III. There's been 30 programs, men's and women's, both wiped out of these schools.
Yeah,
Radford had to do it. We did it at Radford a couple of years ago.
Which sports did Radford lose?
Tennis.
Okay, tennis. Okay.
Yeah, it was a terrible day. It was a terrible day. All those kids were
And
still
it's
there.
so sad for those kids, because then what do I do now? I still want to play. Where can I go? And they're getting rid of the programs. I know we've seen it with swimming and diving at certain schools where, because I guess those are expensive, maintaining those Olympics size pools and whatnot, and you're not getting the revenue. I mean, it's never, even at schools with top programs, I don't know how many people are walking through the door to, watch that. And it's sad. It's sad for the kids who are affected, who are really dedicated to sport and very good. And I think we talked last time about, is this going to affect our Olympic sports? Because this is where these kids were being developed, these top programs, and then they would go on and represent the United States in the Olympics. I don't know. I think it's going to take, we talked about it last night, it's going to take some more money, some sponsorship, people saying, you know what, I'm passionate about swimming and diving, and I have all this money, and I'm going to pump it into this program. But again, that helps one program. It doesn't help
anything else
across the board.
Yeah. That's going to be next. That swimming and diving will be the next. That they're going to start falling left and right too. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, and
it's really sad. And I wish there was some kind of way that we could have these programs be spared, because it's not the ones you hear about, but these kids are just as dedicated to their sport as the football team that everybody knows about.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, we will see. But it all is trending in a negative direction. But I think we're going to see more and more schools. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tech or the ACC have an announcement soon too, about partnering up with somebody. Corporate and universities are just going to have to go, okay, good. It takes the pressure off us.
Yeah.
We can. Okay, that's fine. Whatever you need to do. Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you don't want to be left behind, but it's not that. I just don't think it's good for the average fan. Also, all these streaming services, because you think everybody doesn't have this stuff, and even if you do, sometimes the connection isn't that great, and it just doesn't look that good. And I just hope that they're still going to keep the core big things that we all love and we kind of all watch, keep that on broadcast TV so we can see that. But just don't know.
No.
And like you said, you're not going to subscribe. Like I refuse. I mean, I did that once because it was the Olympics, and I really wanted to see it. I think in real time. I think that's why I did Peacock, because otherwise you'd be watching stuff on a delay.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see it in certain sports in real time, and it just wasn't a good experience. I did not enjoy it at all. I mean, I'm sure they've improved Peacock by now. I mean, I would hope so, because it was not enjoyable.
No, that's when Goodell's going to go one step too far when they announce the Super Bowl. If he's still the leader of the league, which is just terrible. When he announced that that's going to streaming only and you have to buy when he does that, and I know that day's coming, then that's when people, I think, are going to go, all right, enough's enough.
People will revolt. And I hope he does not do that. I mean, but you've seen there've been playoff games, right, that have been streaming.
Yeah. You miss a playoff game every year.
Didn't watch it because I wasn't playing that game again. But if it's something I already have, yes. I mean, I'll tune in and I'll complain about it though.
Of course, that's what we do. So how's your week? You getting ready to finish up, right? How long do they have now?
Let's see. My son will be done at the end of this month, and my daughter's school goes to like the first week in June. So it's really soon. It's coming up. They're counting down the days. They're talking about, school's almost out. And so we're trying to get plans, like trying to line up summer camps and fun things to do. Even though I also like them just to have some time not to do anything, because I think that's important, kids. You don't need to schedule every minute, Enjoy your summertime.
Marlins games. Got to get some Marlins games.
I know. Marlins lost a tough one last night to the Phillies, 1-0. But again, they're right behind the Braves. Again, you got to get on board this train, Rick.
Go fish.
Yes, come on.
Well, you were all over it. You said, hey, this is the Marlins year. They're hanging in there.
They are. They're hanging in there.
Are they under 500? They're under 500, though. Let's see.
They focus on the fact they're right behind the Braves.
They're
because with baseball, there's so many games, Rick.
Nobody in that division's over 500 except for the Braves.
Marlins are right behind them. Okay, they're closing in.
Okay.
Starting a series with the Orioles next. So just come on. It's time now. Don't wait till the end of the season to jump on board then, okay?
Maybe I'll wait till they get to 500 at least. How's that? I mean, let's get to 500. Let's at least be a 500 team.
It's a tough division, Rick. Give them a break.
Yeah, boy.
Give them a break.
All right.
They will be there. They will be there at the end. I mean, if you're going to need me, to cover this, if you're going to need me.
No doubt. Once they get to 500, you're a Marlins gal as soon as they get to 500.
If you need me there, I will be there. Okay.
That'd be great. Send you down there. Hey, we're live here. Marva, let's go do a live broadcast while you're at the game. That'd be cool.
Yes. So, and my husband is clearly watching the show today, so I had to shout him out. He's sending me a text. What about Coco Gauff? And we have seen her, and she looked like the maybe successor to Serena. So, I mean,
she's not.
Their names, but we don't know. But the thing is, we don't know who that person is yet.
No, we don't know because they're not out there. They haven't been discovered. They haven't been talked about yet.
But also, we just don't know how someone's career, what direction they're going to go in. So we have to wait and see. And I mean, I get more excited for Wimbledon because the time difference is easier to watch those than say like with the Australian Open. It's always in the middle of the night, and it's just like I can't do that. I mean, there's a time I did because I had to get up early anyway for work, but I just can't do that right now. So I'll watch the highlights the next day. But Wimbledon, U.S. Open is always fun.
I know. I'm with you. All right. Well, listen. Have a great week, you and the fam.
Thank you. You too.
And we'll reconvene next week. See what happens. Okay.
See you then. Smile, Rick. You're still looking very serious. There you go. There you go.
You always make us smile. People in chat saying Marva always makes our day better. So there you go.
2 years. Oh, yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Someone's saying they're going to win the World Series in 2 years and have a fire sale.
That
has been the pattern. Yes.
That has been the pattern.
I have to admit that. Yes.
No doubt. All right, Ms. Marva. Okay. You take care. All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ms. Marva in Miami. I just thought of something too. Just now, should have asked Marva, but I didn't think about the maybe the reason we don't have the concentration and focus on sports like tennis is because the networks have realized this is not big advertising money makers, viewing ratings. So they've spent less time trying to market and promote these people, just like anything else, right? That makes sense. Maybe that's part of it too. I don't know. But then again, you have the over marketing of the NFL, and that's taking games away from us. So I don't know. Shelton Moss going to join us coming up from the Boundary Corner podcast. Brian Siegler is dealing with his wife's having surgery, so he couldn't be on today. So Shelton's going to stand in for him. The NRV Super Bowl, give them a call, 540-382-5525. That's where we're going to do our big meetup. Call that number to reserve your lanes for the weekends or in the weeks when they're not having leagues. 25 years they've served the community. Sundown Electric, outstanding. We appreciate them, the Smith brothers. Excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. You name it, one of the best reputations down in Elliston of any local business. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, give them a call, reach out to them. And there's a bug in my water. 540-381-8011. What? Thanks to James for all of his support. 300 North Franklin Street. ReadySetFund.com. Ready Set Fund is a group of text messages, and you just email Bob Chris to find out more. He's the brother of Dave Chris, the legendary Hall of Fame Blacksburg coach. BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Reach out to them. Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family and operated, 38 years in business. Travis Williams, thank you so much for sponsoring our text line, being such a big part of the show. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner, BDST on YouTube. I've had several people reach out, talking to me off camera about my refinancing experience, and I'm just telling them, go find out what's going on. Ryan Pry, the attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford. Here's our BDST fan question of the week. What type of corporation do you expect Virginia Tech to eventually partner up with? How about that? We know it's going to happen at some point, right? I think every school is probably going to deal with that. Who do you think would be the most? It doesn't have to be a specific company, but the type of company it would be. Maybe that should be our fan question of the week. I think it's coming for Tech. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. That's Charles Lee. BDST, sponsored and presented every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. We had Jonathan Sweet on yesterday. We're going to have Tim Miller on, talk more about the kayaking, the biking, and all that. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, 155 Walters Drive. He's the best chiro in town. Go see him and let him fix you up if your body needs it. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Smithfield. I see what you're doing there. Wild turkey, Jason says. All right, I need water, so I'm going to go. Sorry, this is my second ulcer. One was for the kitty. I can't do this with a bug in it. I need something. I'll be right back. I don't know where the bug came from. It looks like one of those flying ants. You know, the ones that get the wings. And I'll be back in just a second. Then we'll hook right up with Shelton. I'll be right back. All right. Bug has been extinguished here on the program. Panera, Hokies partners. Hey, I like that. You think the Hokie Stone hits hard? Well, bite into a Panera sandwich. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I like that, T-Bird. That's good stuff. All right. This is the first time Shelton has been with us since we moved here. Let me make sure I get him get the right email. Here we go. Boom. All right. So we've had a kitty raising hell and then a bug. Why do bugs immediately go in the water? And then, it's the first bug I've seen, Brandon. I don't know where it come from. Probably because I like to have this door open. I wonder if it flew in last night. Like when it's warmer in the evenings, I kind of like to have the circulation going. Maybe that's what it was. Hey, a great opportunity for a bug exterminator sponsorship. So we've had that and one of those flying ants get in my water here. Yeah, we're good now, though. It's like moths. Why are moths drawing the light? Fire. Prometheus controls it all. Butterball Morris says, hands down, largest turkey producer in the U.S. Make the call. Chase that down. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, the Butterball, the Butterball wild turkey combo in Blacksburg. Chase it all down with some wild turkey. Rosie's Gambling Casinos. Panera tackling dummies. These are great. Wasn't the whole sports models in the 90s and 2000s? Yeah, it was. No, you're right. You're right, Prometheus. It was. Anyway, that'll be our fan question of the week because it'll end up being fun. Send those to the professional door text line 3910788. Thanks to Marvin. Mike Burnop coming up in just a little bit. But joining us now on the program, there he is. It's Shelton Moss from the Boundary Corner podcast. What's up, Shelton? Good to see you, man.
Rick, great to see you again. It's been a while. Happy to be back on in place of my good friend Brian Siegler, representing the Boundary Corner podcast. We got a good pod coming out this week, so let's get to talking some Hokie football.
Yeah, man. I know his wife's having some surgery today, so he wasn't sure about his time frame. So appreciate you pinch hitting, man. You get to get you on here more. I keep telling Brian that. So
yeah,
we need more Shelton more of the time. All right, so we're coming out of the spring. You guys had a great cast about it, but how about for you personally, as you see Tech now and you look at the roster and the depth of talent, what do you see that excites you the most about the progression already in the first roster makeup under James Franklin as opposed to what Brent Pry had as he went out?
Yeah, the big thing is, they've been able to add lots of talent while also building for the future. You look at the guys they brought in, 27 transfers, which is a lot, but in this day and age, not necessarily, the most among all the schools. Top 20 rated transfer class and the 33rd ranked high school class. So you got talent coming in from both sides. And I think for me, the big thing that I really appreciate that Franklin did was he's bringing in a lot of guys with multiple years of eligibility. So, you look at, some of these guys, they really stocked up big on offensive linemen and defensive ends in the transfer portal, but guys that are, redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores. So they've got, again, multiple years of eligibility. Obviously, Ethan Grunkemeyer, the quarterback from Penn State, is the headliner in the transfer class. But you've brought in some skill guys too, like Luke Reynolds from Penn State, who I think is going to be an absolute stud, 5-star tight end, who had a really good year last year for the Nate Lions. And then Quayshawn Brown, who I'm really excited about, wide receiver from Duke, had over 800 yards, 5 touchdowns last season. So they've upgraded the skill positions. They've stocked up big time in the trenches, which is what you have to do. I think for me, one of the big frustrations with the Brent Pry regime is that they just didn't build depth on the offensive line that you needed to, and that was clear from day one. I mean, O-line is a position where you have to stack bodies, and they just did not get the depth of talent they needed. So, Franklin rather has come in and just said, look, we're gonna build up take as many bodies as we can and play the numbers game. You got 7 offensive linemen coming in as high schoolers in their 22-man class. And again, the 4 offensive linemen that they took via transfer: Michael Chapman from Penn State, Justin Terry from Ohio State, Justin Bell from Michigan State, and Logan Howland from Oklahoma, who has some playing experience too. So overall, I think they've hit the big positions that they need to hit, while also again balancing bring in players who are talented, but again, building for the future. You want to stay young and develop those guys and kind of build the right way. So I really like how he's constructed this roster.
Well, the one guy I'm the most excited about is the most obvious one, but my reasoning is Ethan Grunkemeyer, I think, has a chance to come in and be an all ACC type of quarterback, because we don't have to guess how he's going to transition to this offense. We saw it on the field, against some of the best defenses in the country in the Big Ten when he got his starting chance. I love the way he handled himself. This is way before anybody thought about him being at Virginia Tech, just watching him go through Indiana. He should have beat Indiana, right? And the miracle season was intact, though fate said otherwise. You watched him against Iowa. He had a tough time against a really good defense, but he figured things out as the game went on. And I know it's probably not right to say it, but it seems like it's being undersold how big I think Ethan Grunkemeyer's addition to this team is going to help Tech maybe exceed a lot of the Vegas expectations.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like Hokie fans in recent years have been accustomed to having quarterbacks who are mobile quarterbacks who can run, but aren't necessarily the most polished passers. I think with Grunkemeyer, it's almost the opposite, where he's not a big runner. That's not a huge part of his game, but I think he has a potential to be a very good passer. You look at some of his stats last year at Penn State. It was a pretty limited throwing game. I mean, I think he had the second highest percentage of throws behind the line of scrimmage in the country. They kept most of the passes really short because they wanted to, obviously keep him out of trouble, but also rely on their running game, which was pretty solid. But that being said, I do think that Grunkemeyer, you look at his tape, he's got a strong arm. He can fit the ball into tight windows, and he was pretty good passing its zone coverage. So those are kind of the key indicators you look for, in a good passing quarterback. So I think the question really is just how well can Hokies pass protect for him? Because I think, if they want to throw the ball deep, you got to be able to hold those blocks and give him time to throw. So that remains to be seen. But I do think that Grunkemeyer, especially with, again, the skill guys they brought in, Luke Reynolds, Quayshawn Brown, a few other guys, they've been able to surround him with the talent that they need to have a good passing offense. So I'm excited about it. I mean, I feel like, we talk so much about, the ability of these quarterbacks to make reads and get through progressions. That was not Kyron Jones' strong suit, certainly. No. And in the past, it's just generally been a sore spot for VT quarterbacks. So I think Grunkemeyer has the ability to come in and be a high-level passer and really add a new dimension to this Hokie passing offense.
Shelton Moss joining us here from the Boundary Corner podcast here on this Tuesday. All right, so a lot of sweeping changes in the athletic department, to say the least. None more so, I guess, noteworthy than the fact that Whit Babcock is, resigning, and he's got this emeritus title. I don't know how long that may go, but your thoughts on that, and the hire of a new athletic director is going to be pretty crucial to find the right guy who can come in and work with James Franklin, who's basically running the department now, from what I've been told.
Yes, that is certainly what I'm aware of. I think he's reporting directly to the board of visitors and sort of, acting as the de facto athletic director. I think for most Hokie fans, it was kind of a shock that Whit Babcock lasted this long. Even from Babcock's perspective, I think he'd probably be surprised a little bit too. But it was time. I mean, I will say, he came into a situation where obviously the football program was not great in terms of its resources. They did not have the fundraising infrastructure that they needed to compete at a high level. And he's addressed some of those things, but I also think that they kind of plateaued. You look at some of the issues inside the athletic department. I think the quality of hires was not exactly what it should have been. They had some positions that were not filled. People left that were not replaced. Some issues in the Hokie Club. With fundraising and just addressing that stuff. They went a couple of years, I think, without a chief financial officer, which they added in early 2024, I believe. But they also had two heads of the Hokie Club who did not have any prior fundraising experience, which is not what you want to have in today's day in college athletics, where fundraising and philanthropy is such a huge component of competing at this level. It's been a mixed bag. I think Justin Fuente was a good hire on paper that did not work out, and they obviously didn't surround him with the resources they needed to win. Brent Pry, to me, to be honest, Rick, I think just kind of reeked of desperation. I do not think in hindsight it was a good hire. It just seemed kind of, reactionary and panicky, like they wanted to have a good culture fit, but he just was not cut out to be a head coach. So all that being said, I think it was time for a change. Obviously, I will give it credit. He did play a part in getting Franklin here. It seemed like some of the the board and the big wigs at the in the Virginia Tech leadership took the lead there, and showing Franklin a plan for the future. So he was kind of put on the back burner a little bit. I'm sure he probably crossed some eyes, as the saying goes, or cross some T's, whatever the saying is. So he played a hand in that. But I just think overall the football program was just not nearly good enough to justify keeping him on. I mean, I remember looking at some of the data. The last 5 years of VT football statistically has been the worst stretch, I think, since the late 1970s, and that was when Virginia Tech was an independent and just kind of a small bit player in the world of college athletics. So it was time. Again, I'll give Whit credit for the things he did, and getting Tech to a higher level, and certainly articulating the need for more resources and more financial support. But I just think they kind of plateaued, and it was time to make a change.
Brandon asking you, Shelton, how would you evaluate the hiring process of Franklin? It was kind of like if you go back to the movie Draft Day, right? Vontae Mack, at all costs, number one. Well, Tech had a linear focus, right? It was, hey, well, what I've been told, go get him. What's it going to take? They didn't really. They said they talked to other people, but it was one guy that they honed in on, and they got him. So they got the guy that they wanted. So the results TBA. But what were your thoughts about all that with this committee? And it was the first time Tech's done anything where the AD was officially not involved in a football head coaching system.
Yeah, initially I had some trepidation because you remember back in the fall, you had Bruce Arians go on, I think it was Pat McAfee's show, and say, we're going to hire a general manager first and then hire a head coach. And that I think that's set off some shockwaves in the AD, because they're like, no, we are hiring a head coach. So they had to get everyone to sign a non-disclosure agreement and basically say, guys, stop talking about this. Let's just keep it internal. So that I was concerned at the time about that, but in hindsight, I mean, I think the process was actually pretty good when you look at some of the leaders like John Rakovich, Jay Pearson, Ryan McCarthy, that all took the lead there. The big thing is just and Franklin talked about this in his press conference, is just showing a plan, being specific, attention to detail, having an actionable strategy, and being able to articulate that to James Franklin. One thing I can say about James Franklin, like he is a no nonsense guy. His attention to detail is unlike anything I've ever seen. Just he wants everything to be perfect, and I think the administration has basically said, look, we're going to give you the resources to support you. And outside of that, like, we'll pretty much say yes to anything you want. I mean, you look at some of the work he's done with facilities, adding staff. They've actually moved some staff, some non-football staff from Castle to Lane Stadium, because they're building out their football support staff so much that, they need everyone to fit inside Merriman. And he's trying to make Merriman a football only facility, which I think is kind of, I mean, obviously you got to put those people somewhere. But also I think it's to kind of, set the tone of, how he says he wants this place to look, feel, and smell like a big time football program. So I think from that standpoint, it's been really good. And like I said, he seems to be reporting directly to the Board of Visitors. So I don't know, if that's, necessarily the long-term ideal situation. Ideally, you want a new athletic director to come in here and kind of, be very responsive to the football program and its needs. But they've let James Franklin essentially run the show, which, look, I'm going to trust him. He's got a body of work at Penn State that I think we can all get behind. So what he wants, I think, is what all VT fans should want as well.
President first, just like we were talking about with GM and head football coach. President first, then athletic director. Right? It doesn't seem to make sense the other way. So.
Yeah. And it was kind of a weird situation where I think Pry just bombed out so much that you kind of had to fire him right away. But then you had issues with regards to Tim Sands, who, there seemed to be some uncertainty as far as when he was retiring. And you can't really get a new athletic director when you have a president who's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So it was just an odd situation, the timing of Pry's firing. But certainly my hope is that, they've got the right head coach now. Hopefully they can get, the right president, the right AD. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm certainly more confident in the long-term future of VT football than I was about 6 months ago.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? You've heard some candidates early on for AD. Is there somebody that has caught your eye that you wouldn't mind seeing try to come in here and make this thing work?
Yeah, well, I was kind of joking with a friend based on all the people that have been stolen from JMU. Matt Rohn, who's currently the AD at JMU there, he would be, an obvious candidate. But to be honest, I'm not quite as well versed in the overall pool of candidates among
Yeah.
athletic directors. That's just kind of a whole different world from what I operate in. But I will say, if I had to guess, they'd probably want to go for someone with more big time power four, SEC or Big Ten experience, just because it's kind of a different landscape there. Not to say that a guy like Roan at a smaller school couldn't, be cut out for the job. I just think in today's age, like there is such a huge focus on, fundraising and philanthropy, that, having that experience and seeing how a big time program operates in that regards, especially with, what I was just talking to you about earlier with regards to some of the infrastructural issues with regards to fundraising at Virginia Tech, having someone who can come in and really just kind of, reorganize everything there would be a huge bonus. And you're only going to get that at the Big Ten or SEC level. So I think they'll probably go with someone from experience from one of those schools.
All right. Unfair question, Tom, because we have no idea what anybody else in the ACC has done with the roster, right? We haven't gathered all that information specifically. What's your over and under on Tech wins? Hey, can you see them? What is it right now in Vegas? 7.5? Is that what they said? 7.5?
Yeah. Somewhere in there. I mean, it's so I will say this. It's a manageable schedule. I think you start off with a pretty easy non-conference slate. Now, granted, I've said that many years before, and Tech hasn't exactly done well with it. So,
True.
But they do have a coach who historically has done a very good job of beating the teams he's supposed to beat and not beating the teams that he's not supposed to beat. So, you take care of business against the lesser opponents. Look at the schedule. You got Pitt at home to start off October, and then at Cal, which is always can be sort of a tricky situation going on the road to California, and then host Georgia Tech at Clemson, at SMU, home against Stanford after that, and then end of the year with Miami and Virginia. I think on the whole, obviously, Miami and SMU to me are going to be by far the two toughest games. Clemson, I'm not exactly sure about them. They just, they aren't quite where they used to be. And it seems like Dabo has not adjusted to the transfer portal era particularly well. I would say for me, like 8 wins would be a great season. I think that, this is going to be about building for the future. Again, you just look at, what I was talking about with all these young transfer guys. It's a lot of redshirt freshmen, a lot of redshirt sophomores. So this is not going to be, Kurt Signetti, transform the entire program right away. Franklin wants to build for the long term. And so and that's reflected in the players that he's brought in via the portal, and also his 22-man high school class. So I think for me, I'm really excited about the talent on this team, but I just think based on experience, we're going to see Virginia Tech's best football in 2027 and 2028. So kind of building for the future.
Yeah, exactly. Get this first year off to a good start, and then boom, here you go. Now comes the expectations. Now comes the anticipation to get back at the top of the league. So, all right, man. Well, listen, great stuff, brother. Thanks for fitting in, man. We got to get you in here more. Thanks for filling in for Brian.
Yeah, I got some free time. So, like I said, hit up the Boundary Corner podcast. You got some free time, and we'll keep talking some Hokie football.
When you guys going again? When's the next one?
We are on tomorrow. So
okay, good.
Got a good show this week. We're going to talk about Whit leaving. We're going to talk about Sands. So a lot of big news in Hokie sports lately.
All right, man. Well, you guys do a great job each and every time. Have fun tomorrow night. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Rick, as always.
All right, brother. All right, man. Take care. There you go. Shelton Moss. Great stuff from Shelton. That was great. Boundary Corner. Check them out tomorrow night. I think Brian will be back on the Boundary Corner tomorrow night. 8 wins. Yeah, I think everybody would be like, okay, that's the trajectory. Feels like to me, though, that I'm not, and I get asked this a lot. I said, I heard you on the show saying you wouldn't be surprised to see Tech win more than you win 9 or 10. I said, no, why would I be surprised? I just don't, I'm not surprised anymore by what's happening. We can't look at this. We're asked to change the way we look at college sports from even 3 years ago, right? It's a totally different landscape. Well, I just go back to what Virginia and Duke did last year. Who knows? The unknown, the ambiguity about the other teams in the league. I don't know. I don't know if they've handled their business right. We're going to have Phil Steele on. And he's got his mag coming out in about 3 weeks. Can't wait to talk to him about all the changes he's had to go through to sit there and have to come through with everything and change maybe the way he makes up the roster. So I don't know. Would I be surprised? No, I would not. I could see 9-3 happen. Will they contend? They could. I'm not just going to say no, they won't contend. I mean, do we have so much confidence in the upper echelon of the ACC hierarchy that we think they're just a shoe-in every year, right? You have that in the Big Ten, sort of. You know, Indiana was the outlier last year, but usually we're always thinking Ohio State, Michigan, right? In the SEC, Alabama and Georgia. There's not really anybody in the ACC like that. Miami wants to be that. Florida State and Miami used to be that. Virginia Tech used to be that. Not anymore. So same thing in the Big 12. Now that Sorsby's gone, Texas A&M can't, or Texas Tech can't just pencil themselves in as repeat champions in that league. All right? So I don't know. Morris says he wants that damn ACC championship and a playoff berth. Way it's got to be, man. Well, you know what? You might get that. Who knows? I mean, we knew JMU was going to be good. Did you see James Madison playing in the playoff last year? Indiana, I mean, I know it's been talked about ad nauseum. Nobody had that in their bingo card to go undefeated. I just don't think anything is out of the realm of possibility, which, by the way, adds to the excitement of it. So as much bad stuff that's going on in college sports, therein lies the intrigue, the general amount of curiosity, right, from Tech fan to see how this team may perform. So we'll see. We want to thank Family Fencing. There I go, looking like Bane again. What did you say, Bruce Wayne? You would not survive this at all, Bruce. Family Fencing Studios, 540-200-8294 at familyfencingnrv.com. At least I didn't sound like Yoda that time, you know? Remember last time I tried to do that? I sounded like Yoda. I don't know why, but I did. Professional Door Incorporated. Talk about a great logo. Professional Door specializes in residential commercial garage doors. 38 years, going 39 years in business now. Travis Williams continuing what his dad built. Amazing. Just amazing stuff. National Bank, member FDIC. Been my banking partner for almost 4 decades. It's this show's exclusive banking partner. Hit me up. You want to ask some questions before you reach out to them? I'll be glad to answer them. I had one of the most wonderful customer service experiences I've ever had this past month, refinancing all of my stuff. Now I have one payment. Boom, it's there. And they were outstanding, in particular, Jamie down here at the Radford branch. We are presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. We had Jonathan Sweets on yesterday. Experience Pulaski County and all the great offerings. Tim Miller is going to join us early next week, and we're going to talk to him a lot more about all the wonderful things that Professional Door has to offer. The Ready Set Fund with Bob Christ. I've mentioned it a lot, and it helps everybody who decides to go ahead and check them out. Email Bob, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Series of text messages can turn your business, turn your group that needs money, that needs some assets into a success very, very quickly. Sundown Electric. I love that logo. Look how subtle that is. 2 houses, the sun setting. Oh, it's beautiful. Great reputation, long list of satisfied clients, test to a superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. Honest and upfront, try to keep costs as low as possible. Let you know exactly what's happening with the job at hand. Thanks so much to Sundown Electric and the Smith brothers for all of their wonderful assistance. All right. Hang on. All right. When I'm into one thing and the other, I get okay. McClellan Chiropractic. That's Mark Hundley, right off of Walters Drive. And if you got an ailment, your back sore, go see Mark. He will definitely take care of you. Yes, he will. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee. I talk about him a lot. Many of you I know have reached out and hired them since we started talking about them. 1095 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. Get your air units updated, checked out now before it gets too late. Ryan Pry, the attorney, BDST fan question of the week. And I think we asked a good question. We've already gotten like a dozen responses here on the professional door text line. What type of company will Virginia Tech inevitably end up partnering with to help take care of some of these costs staring us in the face for all these athletes? The NRB Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Reserve your lanes today. Over 25 years in the New River Valley. If you go in now, you're not going to believe all the amazing improvements. Since 1997, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply has been the place to go for manufactured home parts, for your plumbing, windows, plus installation. 300 North Franklin Street, 540-381-8011. There you go. And I think that's everybody. Moore says, exactly. The AMU last year in Indiana, the worst record all time, ran the table. Why not? Nah, thank you, Shelton. Appreciate you, man. Shelton was terrific. Worked with him at Radford. He got his start in sports information and cared so much about Shelton cares so much about what he covers. You know, it's good for me because you get to the age now where you say, it's exciting to see young people get heavily involved in what they're doing. And he does that. And Brian Siegler knows that. That's why he hired him. We'll have Shelton on more. Shelton's great. Just a generally good person, too. Works his tail off. So that's my honest appraisal. I mean, I know it sounds like a cop-out, but it's really not. I think I'm answering those questions when people ask. You just look at the schedule for Tech. That SMU game is going to be a bear. Miami. I know one thing. I'm not just going to say it because I know they played in the national title game. Congratulations to Mario Cristobal, Carson Beck, and all that. He's gone now. All those guys, they did. They swelled up, and they played well at the end, and they got a chance to win it all. Give them all the credit in the world. Nobody's taking anything away from them. But does that automatically mean it's going to transfer to 2026? I don't think so. We'll see. Maybe it does. Maybe now he's turned the corner, and they're just going to start reloading every year. But I'm not ready to put Miami in, hey, we're going to reload status, you know? Florida State hasn't been able to approach it at all. I don't think Virginia's going to be as good. Louisville's kind of an X factor. They recruited well. Jeff Brom's an excellent coach. Carolina's just I don't know where they are. They're on an island somewhere with Bill Belichick, just sitting there, not sure what they're going to do. NC State's just mediocre. Let's just say it the way it is. Georgia Tech, they don't have Haynes King anymore. Steven, you tell me. You've got the other Mendoza. Does all of a sudden he step in and become this awesome quarterback? BC and Syracuse are just constant non-factors. Cal and Stanford, stop. Pittsburgh, I've heard from a lot of people, Pittsburgh is going to be pretty good this year. We'll see. I did not coordinate Miami Thunder. We'll talk to Dwight Vick about that. I did not Give Miami. I was always the one fighting it. Thank you. I know that's what the ACC's wanted. They have wanted them. They've never won the league. Think about that. Since they came in 2004, they've never won the league. Now, I'd have fallen for the banana and the tailpipe before, the Miami banana and the tailpipe before, but not now. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Going to just wait. Duke, Wake Forest had a great year. Wake Forest has a good coach. But with their right now limited resources, they're going to be, I think, a great example annually, Wake Forest, to follow them. And can they actually be consistently competitive? They were picked dead last in 2025 and finished with 9 wins. They brought a coach in from the West Coast. How's he going to come across the country? Wake Forest, wow. And, they played Tech. It was a close game. Tech could have won that game. That was the game, if I'm not mistaken, all the personal fouls, right? Wasn't that the personal foul game? A lot of undisciplined play. But you watched Wake in that game, and I was like, all right, that's a really well-coached team. I mean, a really well-coached team. Who am I leaving out? I mean, so why can't Tech? I think that's everybody. Clemson, I mentioned Clemson. I don't know. Like Shelton said, I don't know. There's not a higher profile coach in the country who has reacted more poorly to the era of the transfer portal and NIL and pay for play than Dabo. He fought it. He had enough pull coming off the last championship to say, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. They let it go for a couple years, and now they're like, yeah, you're going to change because we all have to change, right? And they haven't been able to figure out the quarterback position since God's gift to quarterbacking. Trevor Lawrence left. The Golden Locks, as soon as he graduated, they haven't figured it out. I mean, Klubnik, I love the way he played. He's a hard-nosed kid, but he just wasn't very good. He got drafted. We'll see. Maybe he's in developmental mode. I don't know. But Clemson has not found their quarterback. I believe Virginia Tech has found their quarterback. Maybe Virginia has too. The only thing Virginia has going for it, and David Teal has said this a lot, Piabola comes in, right? He's going to start the offensive line. By far the best offensive line, the most seasoned offensive line in the conference. That's a hell of a place to start your football team. The curse of Fabio. Trevor Lawrence was so good at Clemson. And I won't say he's been unsuccessful in the NFL, but it hasn't been that automatic, constant all-pro success. He has really struggled. He was with a terrible coach at the beginning in Urban Meyer, who should have never been in the NFL. What's up, Jeff? Good morning, brother. In this era, I think any of these teams may as likely go 3-9 as they are 9-3. Sure. Absolutely. Including Tech. Sometimes one big win, the Indiana win last year at Penn State, led by Grunkenmeyer there, who had them on the ropes. They have went back to that moment, to that game, and said that was the trigger for the rest of their undefeated season, their perfect run. Because you talk about being down and out and beaten. They were down and out and beaten. Maybe Tech could do that. Maybe they have everything going their way when they go down to SMU, right? And they somehow pull out a dub. And then maybe that, just sometimes it happens. We'll talk about that with Mike Burnap here coming up. But I think the unpredictability of it all does intrigue a lot of people, myself included. I've come to the resignation to all these economic issues that are facing programs having to pay players. I'm so exhausted by it all. The dishonesty we're getting, the reactions that we're getting don't match the desperate examples they send out of how bad things are. And since it's either kill or be killed now, right? You have to figure out a way to spend to get as many players as you can. I feel like it's going to take care of itself one way or the other. If you are a place that's dedicated for your football, men's basketball programs, right? You're going to have the money. The money will turn up. This is going to become small market professional teams. Baseball's always been the big example versus big market. And that's what college athletics has primarily been anyway, but now it's really headed in that direction. The big markets, not even necessarily big cities, but those that can raise the money. Big market changes its definition in college because Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Athens, Georgia, and Blacksburg, Virginia are not necessarily metropolises. But how much money can you contribute? And that's the awareness now that has been kind of enlightenment, if you will, for folks around Blacksburg. I just feel like if you're really serious about it, the money's going to show up. And if it doesn't, then you can't have expectations for your coaching staff like they do at other places. Does that make sense? Like, I don't see programs. Well, we've seen programs getting cut, and that's the easy way out, right? Trying to figure out and adjust to work through problems seems to be secondary to just, what's the easy thing to do? Let's eliminate tennis. Let's eliminate track. Let's eliminate whatever it might be, swimming and diving. But the ones with the higher television contracts that are partnering up now immediately have more revenue. What Duke did with Amazon for those games is just Duke's money. It's not the ACC's money. Again, I'm not sure. Somebody asked me on the Professional Door text line about that. I don't know how they got around the grant of rights for that. That seems like that's a little but Big Ten guy said that he expects the breakaway to come. You could see it happen the next month. I mean, I'm sorry, the next year, not month, the next year. And I said, what do you mean, like toward the end of college football next year? Potentially, yes. So in other words, that means since he's involved in these conversations, this is something that is talked about. Like, we're not ever privy to any of this. Usually the news, the things that happen, we don't know anything that's going to happen because nobody's privy to it, which is the way it should be. We rely too much on media leaks and now inaccurate reporting for our news. But Big Ten and the SEC are working on the best exit strategy to break away together. That's why you're going to have one more big grab from the leagues And then how it looks, I could not even begin to tell you. What's it going to mean for the rest of the power schools? I don't know. At that point, let's say the ACC loses 4, 5, 6 teams and the Big 12 loses 4, 5, 6 teams. Do all the rest of those remaining schools, are they then forced just to join forces at that point? So you'll have at least 3 big leagues that have broken away? I don't know. Does that mean that FCS is going to be the model for those FBS schools, the G5s left behind that aren't part of it, to have their own playoff? Are we going to see 3 different championships, right? It kind of feels like that's the way it's going to go, doesn't it? The break off, the big championship that's already got, sponsorship that's not part of the NCAA. The next tier will have a tournament. Your James Madisons, your UABs, whomever, people like that. And then the FCS. And I know I'm doing this just from a football perspective because that's what is controlling everything. The NCAA tournament's not going to be affected, I don't think, one way or the other by the breakaway. But we'll see. We'll see. I think there are more things that have been answered behind the scenes just talking to him than we know about. And that's usually the case. That's usually the case. You remember when Rocky changed his fighting style from being a southpaw? Remember that? It was a surprise, wasn't it? He didn't unleash it until the big moment. Well, with so much at stake and with the amount of egos that are involved, and now, to me, it feels like the Big Ten is calling the shots. Both financially, they put that report out there for a reason. That, what was it? $2.3 billion media surplus they shared with all their members. That was done for a reason. So you might have the SEC and the Big Ten working, in concert with each other, but they each want the top spot and only one can have it. And if it wasn't for the ESPN constant promotion of the SEC, let me ask you a question. Deep down, which league do you think is better? The SEC or the Big Ten? Now that Alabama is not Nick Saban's Alabama. If Indiana can maintain itself, do they join Ohio State, Michigan? I mean, we talk about it with David Smith all the time, right? In the NFL, your results put you where you go. If you win enough games and you deserve to be a playoff team, guess what? You're a playoff team. The Big Ten won the college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball national championship. End of story. If they say the greatest cinematic adaptation of well-received books, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the best ever to be put on film, that trilogy by the Big Ten is the best run they have ever had, especially at the most important time of this college athletics transition. So who is calling the shots now? I don't know what the SEC distribution numbers are going to look like. I don't believe they've announced it. I haven't seen it. I would have thought if it was more than the Big Ten, they would have countered quickly. But that Big Ten announcement's been out for over 2 weeks, and I haven't seen much from the SEC. But which programs constantly scare you in the SEC? That's the question that I asked a lot of people, and I just want to know. Let's go through it here quickly, shall we? Let's just remind people, and you tell me where they were last year. And when you look at the Southeastern Conference, all right, Mississippi had an outlier every year. They lost their coach, lost their quarterback. You think Mississippi's going to stay top of the heap? Georgia will. Georgia's well coached, well funded. They'll be fine. Texas A&M had a big year last year. Can that last for them? They finally had that breakthrough year that everybody's been talking about. Does that stay? Does Alabama, who just rewarded their coach with a $13.5 million per year contract? Texas is hyped. They're kind of the SEC version, or the newest member of the SEC version of Miami. They get hyped up every year. They have a Manning as their quarterback. I don't know. Oklahoma, 10 wins, but okay. Are they national contenders? Is Vanderbilt without Diego Pavia? How do they adjust now? They're going to be the hunted. And then you got a bunch of mediocres. Missouri, Tennessee. Sorry, Vols fans, you're mediocre. You were 8-5. You were 4-4 in the league. LSU, they're desperate to come back. That's why they brought in Lane Kiffin. Now, this changes if the LSUs and the Floridas of the world respond to the new coaching hires. Golish down at Gainesville. Mississippi State, South Carolina, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky. Somebody asked the question earlier about would Tech fit in to the SEC now? I think the answer is clearly yes. Now that they're serious about their funding and they have James Franklin as their coach, why not? I don't think the SEC's this whole thing, man. Again, you get something pounded all the time informationally, like ESPN, ABC, and people just completely just always telling you how great it is. It just means more. People get brainwashed by that stuff, man. But then the results show up, and it's not there. Well, the Big Ten results were there last year. They had not overtaken them before last year, but I believe they have now. Because if Indiana can maintain itself, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, USC, Washington, Illinois there's a lot of teams there that are not any worse than looking at as you go down the progression line of the SEC standings. T-Bird says this will implode in a very messy and shameful way, and college football itself will be eliminated. Years will pass, and it will still return as an intramural sport. Well, it's definitely going to go the professional route. It already is. So, but maintaining itself is going to be very, very interesting. So we'll see. It's good discussion, though. Good discussion. We always have a good discussion with this gentleman. His name is Mike Burnham. His appearance brought to you by Louise Baker. What's up, Mike? Good to see you.
Good morning, Ricardo. What's on? How are you?
I'm good, man. How did was it last week you got your award for your business? Was that last week?
Last Wednesday up in Richmond. Yeah, it went well. Had a great crowd there and got to meet a bunch of other successful small businesses. They told me they had over 200 nominations and they awarded 10 Swammies. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, so we got to meet some people and it was a very nice event at the train station in Richmond. Never been there. And it was very cool. Very nice place, very well catered, nice program. So, yeah, it went well.
Well, congratulations again on everything. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Good trip. Had a good trip yesterday, too. Yesterday, we had our first Hokie Club stop. We had the Norfolk Tailgate Tour. And so we went down to the Tidewater area there. Had a meeting at this restaurant at about 4 o'clock. It was like a happy hour for some high rollers, high donors. I think it was called the Oka 4 restaurant. But gosh, man, it was really, really nice little place there. Small place, not too far away from Old Dominion University, actually.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And so, yeah, we had a good little time there with these donors. And so Bud Foster spoke at that and Coach Franklin and had a good time there. And then we went to the main function at the Elation Brewery, which is down there near Old Dominion as well. And had a sold out crowd. It was great. Everybody was dressed in their orange and maroon. So happy to see Coach Franklin and Coach Foster. And we had a great time. Did a little Q&A with both of them, and it went well. He took a bunch of pictures and signed a lot of autographs, and it was a good, really, really nice event, Rick.
Well,
People
that's
are
great.
excited.
I was going to say, we've been hearing about it all the time and so forth. The good crowd at the spring game. You got a sense that it's just a different vibe right now, right? When you're at these events with Coach Franklin.
No doubt. And Coach Franklin talked about that. You know, he said so many spring games, you know, people come and they'll stay till halftime and then they'll head out. And he said, you know, here we are. We got a 1 hour delay because of the parachute incident. And people stayed there and they were like glued in their seats to see what was going to happen with all that. And then they stayed for the game too. And so he was excited about that and the great crowd, the great weekend it was. He told them all about that. And he talked about, you know, he wants to see people in the stands. He said he's heard about the tailgating before the game. He said, I heard y'all have great tailgating before the game. I want to see tailgating after the game, after we win a game and y'all are still out there having a good time tailgating and partying. And so, yeah, he was fun. He got the crowd going on many occasions, and it was really, really nice. Really good talks and good fun.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the post game tailgating is underrated. Yeah, that needs to be something promoted more. You're right, especially after a win, right? Wild rush, just everybody chill and have a good time celebrating.
That's the thing. I mean, you go out there and you can't get out of the parking lot anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're trying to get people, and you're backed up on 81, you're backed up on 460. It's like, why not just sit there, have a good time, have some cold beverages, and cook out a little post game meal and listen to the radio and watch some other games. You know, people have gotten high tech with these tailgates now.
They really have.
They got tailgate, they got TVs out there, satellites, and grills going and tents. I mean, it's big time. So, yeah, he was excited about that part of it, and yeah, I think it went over well, and everybody was really having a good time.
When is the next event, Mike? When are you guys out again?
The next one is on the 18th, 2 weeks from yesterday. It'll be in Northern Virginia. Same kind of thing at a brewery. And haven't been to that one either. There was a new one here we were at last night, and it was a new one we're going to in Northern Virginia. And they haven't set the date yet for Richmond and Roanoke. They're still trying to get it worked out on the schedule for venues and coach. What, you got a bug in there?
Yeah, I had a big old bee. I had to shoo away there. We had bug issues today. We had a bug getting my water earlier. I look up and I see this, like, I always leave this door open when it's warmer, so I think a wasp came in. He flew back out, though. That's good. That's good.
That's good. Got to keep those blinds shut.
Yeah, I know.
That looked like a big one. That might have been like a carpenter bee.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
It might drill into you. You better be careful.
Might do it. He might do. Then I just break out and the whole thing's over right there. Just hear that emergency.
Don't put that headset down. It might get in your ear.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Isn't that always your nightmare? That and spiders. Always just. Don't get me started.
Oh my gosh, Rick! I came home the other day.
Oh no.
And I looked on my front porch right beside the door, like he was waiting for me to get in. And this spider must have been 4 inches long. And I'm telling you, that body of that thing was humongous. And he was kind of like right in that little crack, you know?
Oh.
And I thought, I'm going to get him with my shoe. But if I miss him, I could be in trouble here because he's going to be scooting.
Yeah, you got to fly.
So,
they fly.
Yeah. So fortunately, the foot was big enough, just about the right size to stun it and get it down on the concrete. And then I smushed it up and, oh my gosh, what a splatter. That thing was massive.
Oh man.
I don't know what it was, but it was a big one.
Oh, and you don't want to come up. Nobody needs to come home to that, Mike. Nobody needs to come home to that.
Well, it's better than a snake probably, but that's.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, let me tell you this one story about a wasp one time. So I'm playing tennis with John Poole, and we're playing in a doubles tournament down at the I think it was at the Blacksburg Country Club, and so they bought us drinks out there. We were in this match, and we were in the second set, I think, and they bought drinks out there, and we had these drinks. Well, they were like sodas, you know, Coke, Diet Coke, something, I don't know, Sprite. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so John took a big old drink, you know, and then we came back, and between the next game, you know, you switch every side after 2 games. And so John came by and took a drink of the other one. Well, a bee had crawled down in his drink, and he took a sip of it, and it stung him on the lip. And I mean, his lip got like 3 times bigger than normal.
Oh,
And
that's a nightmare.
oh my gosh, it was terrible. I felt so bad for him, and he was a hurting unit there.
Oh my Lord, that's just can you imagine if he'd have gotten his it's bad enough he got stung. It would have gotten his mouth to start. Oh wow.
Oh, I know. Ugh.
We're bringing in
So
all
that's
the things.
the moral of that
just...
story. Don't take a soda on the tennis court in the summertime.
No. If you do, put the lid back on it. Keep it in the container. Don't let it out. That's awful. That's awful. So how again, he's done it a lot at Penn State and Vandy as well. So did Franklin come across as just a natural kind of a guy who can just carry the event like that?
Oh yeah, no doubt. He's been there and done that so many times, and you know, he talked about a lot of different things. He talked about scheduling. You know, people asked him about scheduling and whatnot, and he says, you know, no offense to anybody else in smaller schools, the state of Virginia, he said, but we got no business going on the road and playing at Old Dominion, at Liberty, at JMU, any of these places. He said, if you're a big time program, he said, when we were at Vanderbilt, he said, we looked and studied the non-conference schedule. And he said, he just looked at that thing and studied it year after year. And he said, they were getting killed in the non-conference schedule. And then you had to go play the SEC schedule. And he talked about that for a long time. He said, you know, they had nothing left. I mean, they got beat up in the non-conference schedule. They had no confidence going into the conference schedule. So they scheduled it the last several years that they were there. They won 9 games. And he said, we scheduled our non-conference games so we could win them, play them at home. So we're ready for the SEC. He said, we weren't that good, but the kids didn't know that. They thought they were pretty good. So we go to the SEC schedule and we win 9 games total and go to bowl games and win bowl games. He said, you know, you got to have that non-conference schedule, get it right, and have it made so that you can be ready for the ACC schedule. So it was kind of interesting. I think people loved that you know, they were on the same page. He said, it's just like we talked about all the time, Rick. You go down there and you win a game, you're supposed to win a game. They pat you on the back. Yeah, you're supposed to win. But if you lose, yeah, you're a dog for a year, right? I mean, it's like that's their Super Bowl, and you just can't do it. And so I think he believed in that, just like it's realistic. You know, we got to work on that non-conference schedule, get it right, make sure we got enough home games, and come out of it successfully. And you know, the other thing he talked about is the upgrades to the Merriman Center. You know, when you think about that, that thing was built back when Bill Dooley was here, and he said the nuts and bolts of that thing are awesome. He says, you can look out my window, you see the practice field, the indoor facility, you see the Lane Stadium, you see the Student Athletic Performance Center, the dining hall, that's upstairs. He said, training rooms down below us. He said, the nuts and bolts are great, but the way it's laid out, it's just they need more space, they need more room for their staff. And he says, you know, that's one thing. It's got to feel big time. He says, you know, I went over to Miles, not Miles. He said, I went over to the athletic, no, to the Corps Cadets building. You know, they're new buildings over there on campus. And he says, those things are just gorgeous. And he says, that's got the feel of the big time. The Corps Cadets has done a great job for this university. They're a big part of it. And so he said, it feels big time. He said, I went to the Mall Center and saw the wrestling match. The Mall Center, it's got the feel that it's a big time. He says, you walk into the Merriman Center, it doesn't feel like that. You know, it's just old and needs to be fixed up, renovated, you know, and I think that's going to be a priority going down the road that when kids come in, recruits come in, you know, they want to feel like Virginia Tech football is big time. And right now, that's one of the things that I think they're working on hard is to get that Merriman Center kind of updated, upgraded, and get more of a feel of big time football.
Do they have a time frame, Mike? I mean, do they have the final plans, I guess, laid out now? Or do they have a time
I don't
frame?
think so. I think they're working on it, just try to get everything figured out like who's going where and what and how they're going to do it. But yeah, I'm sure it's in the works, and obviously they want it done sooner than later. But I'm not sure what the time frame is, the money is, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's something that he talked about a little bit too with those donors and whatnot. It's got to have that feel of a big time program.
Mike, we were talking about, the Duke, what they did earlier with Prime. I don't know how they did that with the grant of rights, but anyway, it's going to happen. We saw the Big 12 partner up. We're going to see more and more of this. I read the story about Maryland, and they're going on a hiring freeze and letting people go. We're not talking about athletics. We're talking about on campus so to take the burden of all this cost for the players off of other entities, it's going to be sooner or later. It feels like right before the ACC or Virginia Tech lines up a partner as well, a business partner like that. I think that's where we're headed. Doesn't it feel like that to you, that more and more schools are going to have these announcements? Hey, we've just teamed up with so-and-so. They're going to help us out with it. Well, why not? It's a professional model anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. I mean, I think you got to find money sources in different places. And, the NIL and the money that they need is significant. And the university can't pony up and do that every year. So, yeah, they have to figure out ways to do that. And that could be certainly something that you look at and it might happen for sure. Absolutely.
And Virginia Tech has so much to offer with its curriculum. I mean, they could team up with an engineering contract. I mean, the agricultural part. There's so many folks that would make a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. You think about the engineering is world renowned. The computer science. I mean, the IT stuff. I mean, it's incredible what happens on that campus. And yeah, it's a world class education. And that could certainly be some partners that would want to ante up and do that for sure.
Mike
something will have to give.
Yeah, something's going to have to give. Thanks to Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster. So, what do we have an updated time frame? People are asking me here in chat, or ask me on the text line. So, do we know about the presidential hire? How that's going? I know that's away from athletics, but have you heard anything about when that could possibly be named and so forth?
No, I haven't heard more on that. Just talking to some of the people though that they want to try to get it done by the summer, which would be pretty fast when you think about it because it's May already. So I think that that's something that's important. So we'll see what happens with that. I know they want to get it done sooner than later, and I know the search is ongoing. But Rakovich is a mover and shaker, and he didn't waste a lot of time. His theory is, I don't know how much time I got left, so I'm gonna get this thing done. And so I think it'll happen faster than people think. Maybe faster than what it took to find Dr. Sands, but again, that's another group handling that. I have no idea exactly what they're thinking, but I do think it'll happen sooner than later.
And it feels like that needs to happen, and then the athletic director situation can be addressed going forward. And I'm sure James Franklin will have a lot of say in that as well. So, man, the changes are overwhelming, but they seem like they were all necessary, isn't it, to kind of get things modernized, if you will, for college athletics where we're headed. So,
yeah, it's such a different world. I mean, I used to talk to Whit all these trips that we'd go on, all these Hokie Club functions, and I said, this job's not the same thing as it was when you got hired like 12 years ago, 11 years ago, 10 years ago, when we were doing those things. And it's just such a different world out there now and the things that you have to deal with. And you just hope it doesn't come down to something. We've seen some schools already, Rick, that have had to cut sports and just to save money. Because when you look at the budgets of some of these other sports, I mean, it costs a lot of money, especially in this ACC that we're in, traveling coast to coast to play tennis and lacrosse and soccer and all those things. I mean, it's just you hate it would get to the point where some of the student athletes that are here would have to suffer and lose their sports, and that's something that could happen down the road for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw yesterday nationally 30 tennis programs have been eliminated already. Seems like that's the sport everybody's looking at for some reason, and there'll be more sports. You're right. And maybe that'll be the thing that finally gets people's attention as to what's going on, maybe.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's going to cost kids a lot of opportunities at these schools, 100%.
Yeah, you hate to see that because they're there, they're athletes, they're doing their thing. And, you hate to see somebody get robbed that opportunity. But, that's why football has to do well. It's the bell cow. It supports everything. You got to be able to put fannies in the seats, sell concessions, get eyeballs on the TV sets, get the postseason play, and have more depth. And that's one thing Coach talked about. We played 16 games one year, and you got to have the depth to be able to do that. I mean, that's like an NFL schedule.
It
And
is.
so, yeah, you need more depth, and that's what they have worked on extremely hard. I think they've got 8 or 9 commitments already for the 27 class. So that's been good. The recruiting's gone really, really well. They're going to have some big weekends coming up here. And then, of course, the month of June is pretty much devoted to camps. They'll have a bunch of camps, kids on campus for that as well. So they got a lot going on, that's for sure.
You're going to be at the yeah, they do. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear the first tour visit went well too. That's a good sign. Are you going to be at the Blacksburg Sports Club tomorrow night? I got invited by Louise actually, so I'm going to go.
Really?
And Coach Elmo is going to go. Coach Elmo is going to be there because
is
Bud
he speaking?
No, Bud is. Bud is speaking.
Oh, Bud's speaking. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a night meeting?
Yeah, like it starts at like 5:30, and I think the dinner starts at 7. So the
okay,
starts at 7 or something like that. So
no, I had no plans to do that. Was with Bud yesterday. He didn't mention that, so maybe I'll give him a shout and see what's happening with that. So he does such a great job.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's speaking at this thing on Wednesday. So yeah, that'd be good.
And old St. Elmo, he's the best.
Yeah, he wanted to go because he heard Bud was going to go speak, and he hadn't talked to him in a while. So I said, "Oh yeah, we'll try to get you in." And Louise got him in, so that's good.
Yeah, old Elmo's the best, man. He was like, I called him the savior when he came here because this place was not very good on defense, and he did a lot. He got things right quick, and I call him St. Elmo. He's the best.
And it's cool how he, throughout his career, kind of knew that was his role, to do just that. He knew he wasn't a long-term guy at any place necessarily, but let's go get the cultural part turned around, get the talent, get the technique. And that's what he did. Everywhere he went, he improved the defense everywhere.
Yeah, he was the fixer, a great fixer. Come in, the Reaper, he'd come in and like cut people and send them up. If they weren't good enough, he'd cut a guy and send him up to the offense.
He was the Reaper. You're right.
Yeah. And, Elmo played at William & Mary. When I was at Virginia Tech, we played against each other. It was so funny.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, Elmo, right. He's the best. I love him. He calls me every once in a while. And we talk and chat and catch up on stuff. Talked to him about a week ago. So he's a good one.
Great dude.
Yeah. He's got some stories now.
Yes, he does. We hear a lot of them here on the program. We do.
Yeah.
Mike Derrick wants to ask, Mike, how excited are you now that we know that James Franklin's going to feature multiple tight ends once again?
Oh, my gosh. We talked about that last night, too. Talked about the quarterback room when we talked about the tight end room. And, yeah, he's going to use those guys 2 and 3 at a time. You're going to see him on the field there. He's got so much depth in that spot. And we talked about it. Those guys are kind of the Swiss Army knife. They can do a little bit of everything. You got to be able to block. You got to be able to tackle. Not tackle, but you got to be able to block. You got to be able to run. You got to be able to catch passes, get out in the slot. And I called them. I said, they're the first down makers.
That's right.
You saw in the spring game, 17 catches between the tight ends. And a lot of times they were the check down receiver. But they're big targets, and I think they're going to use them well.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, that excites me. I want to see more football like that. I know the spread's never going to really go away, but it became so prominent so quickly in college football. I like to see the mindset James Franklin has toward a kind of a pro-style, old-school offense, if you will. That's the kind of football I like. So
yeah, well, he was a quarterback in college, and he was a good one, and he knows about the passing game. He spent a lot of time with that offense this spring, and let Brent Pry kind of handle the defense. So. Yeah, he's an offensive-minded guy, and I think we talked about before. Our leading receiver last year caught 31 passes. Those tight ends, they might catch 31 the first 3 weeks.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So I think you'll see a totally different offense than we saw the last few years.
And finally, Mike, William asked, Mike, have you talked much with Coach Young? How's he feeling about his roster? I guess it's still going on, the construction of rosters for next year. Right?
Yeah, it's still going on. Talked to Coach about a week ago. His birthday was the first of the month. So we had a little conversation. And, he likes the roster. He's still trying to work on it and get it right. That's one of those things. You got so many kids in the portal. It's ridiculous. of how that is. And then you got to have the money, and some of them just want to talk money, and some of them don't. Coach Franklin mentioned that several times yesterday, that if a kid wants a lot of money, we're not interested. We're there to try to build them and bring them up, and you got to build your program on recruits if you want to have a long-term success. Basketball is a little different because there's less players, but I know Coach Young is working on it. Chester Frazier, those guys are working hard to get the right mix. You just don't want to pull somebody up that might be a bad apple. So you got to be careful, and you got to vet them. But yeah, they're doing okay with that, and he seems to be happy with the process.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think I've liked most about hearing about James Franklin, his approach to this new era. He's kind of imposed his own salary cap.
Yeah.
Like it may not be official, but in his mind, no, we're not going to give you that, right? If you're not, this isn't your place. Then, if that, I kind of like that he can function that way and still bring in the kind of talent that he's going to need to be successful.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and I mean, some of the kids that he lost, averaging 4 points a game and not playing very many minutes, and they're going out and making twice the money. I mean, some of these schools are ridiculous to what they're paying people. I don't know if it's just because they're desperate or they have so much money they don't know what to do with it, or what. But that's not the problem here. That's for sure.
I think it's more the latter. I think a lot of times we're being sold a bill of goods because actions do not match up with the constant stuff we're hearing about how dire things are at certain places. And Alabama, for no reason, gives Kalen DeBoer $13.5 million over 7 years. That didn't need to be done. He already had 3 or 4 years left, right? So
yeah,
which is it? Are you struggling for money or are you not?
I don't know. We don't have that problem, do we, Rick?
No. Somebody asked me, yeah. Oh, yes, I struggle for money. Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Look at my actions, Yeah, you're not gonna
Rick's in the studio where he's fighting bees.
Exactly. I got a bee flying over my head. Good Lord. Can't even afford an exterminator.
At least I don't see the sun coming in blinding you. So that's good.
Yeah, that's worked out really good. Yeah, that was the one good addition that I've had here outside the studio. Well, good stuff, man. What do you got the rest of the week? You gonna chill out now? I'm working at your job, obviously, but I mean,
yeah,
no travel.
Yeah, I don't. Just try to catch up on a few things. I was gone most of the day yesterday, so just play a little catch up today and try to get ahead. And I'm gonna try to get down to Florida here as soon as possible, just for a few days, just to check on things down there and get a little sunshine. It was a little chilly the other morning. I woke up Sunday and had frost out there. I thought, what in the world? It's like it's May, right?
What are we doing? I know.
Yeah. So today's supposed to be in the 70s. I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's gonna be nice this weekend.
Oh, good, because that's our final baseball series. So good. I hope it is.
Oh, good.
It's good. Yeah. Well, we want to thank Mike and always Louise Baker, who I will get to see tomorrow. Yeah, I get to thank her in person tomorrow. So
love Louise. If I don't get over there Wednesday, tell her hello and give her my best.
I will.
She's awesome.
Well, you have a great rest of the week, Michael. Good stuff, man. Good stuff as always.
All right, Rick, you take care. Have a good one.
Brother. All right, man, you too. There you go. Mike Burnup, the Virginia Tech legend. Covered a lot of ground there. Thanks for the questions, by the way. It's awesome. Mike does not mind answering your questions ever. So thank you for that. Yeah, we had one of those flying ants getting my water earlier. Remember, I had to leave the show for a second. And I don't know what that was. It looked like a big wasp, but he went back out. It's my own fault. I can tell it's going to be warm, I kind of leave the door cracked. But we're okay now. I haven't seen a bug yet all year, and then boom, get 2 here today. Okay. But that sometimes is what happens. Well, that's good to hear that the first event went well. And again, it just comes down to people, their personal decisions. Things like that, incite people to give money and to make commitments, and that's what it's all about. I still feel like, and I'm going to ask the question tomorrow, I feel like it's imminent at some point. I don't know the time frame when Tech's going to announce a big partnership with somebody. And you know what? That's the way it has to go. That's progression. Can't stick your head in the ground and have it both ways. And a lot of these corporations can use that as tax write-offs. There's ways to make it advantageous to them. Yeah, Yeah, I can see that happening sooner than later. I really can. But yeah, be fun tomorrow night over there with Coach Elmo, Louise, and the Bud, with Bud being the speaker. I haven't seen Bud in a while. Probably at our Radford Gala last year. Last time I saw him. So I need to holler at him. Good stuff today. Covered a lot of ground. And you know what? We tried to bring the best factual information to you as opposed to speculation and nothing to back up what our opinions are. Because a lot of this is opinion. But you do have an educated opinion with the way things are going. And I've had a lot of people hit me up on the professional text line. You know, you're right. It's about actions. Is it money laundering? Now, at Radford, in our league, I know, except take out High Point, private school, who spent $7 million plus on its current basketball roster for next year. But again, a lot of these schools, some are, but many of them are not acting like they have a whole lot of money issues. And they want to put it out there that they're not. So when Kyle Whittingham comes forward and says he expects a handful of schools to go $50 million, I'm told yesterday by Big Ten guy, who, by the way, told me that's why we had the news that James Franklin was going to be the new coach in Blacksburg, even before he had officially agreed. He thinks it's going to be more like 30 schools, power schools. He says, Rick, I think it's going to be 25, 30 schools. His school, one of them, that's going to have $50 million invested in its football roster for 2026 into 27. Now, his school will not be the one that they don't go around advertising that. You won't see them do what Texas Tech did when they put out a graphic last year. Hey, look how much we spent. If you want to come and help us out and earn, basically it was a one ad. It was a hiring process ad for athletes. And none of the Texas schools with all the oil money have any problems. You look at the schools that have no problems whatsoever. Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Baylor. You know who else has a lot of money? Rice, the Rice Owls. They all, the oil industries, what is it? It's got to be one of the top 5 industries currently in the country. Trillions of dollars every year. You just need to look no further than SMU, who waived all of its media cost. Don't give us any of the media money. We don't need it. Here's our money to get in. They had it within a week. Actually, they had double what they needed. We're never going to hear SMU complain about money. And if they do, it's disingenuous. And that's why they could be a lingering factor in ACC football for a long time, as long as they stay in the ACC. And I say that because you would think the SEC would pounce on a school like that. Just talking about further expansion, talking about the new TV deals, just saying. You think they would worry about the money they'd have to spend getting out of the ACC? No. No, I really don't believe that would be a problem at all. It was no problem for them to get into the league. It wouldn't be a problem for them getting out of the league. But these are all speculations for another day. Good stuff today. I hope we made your Tuesday a little better. Thanks to all the new folks we saw today in chat. Tomorrow, the Hump Day Wednesday edition. We'll slide over it together. And thanks to Marva in Miami. Thanks to Shelton Moss from the Boundary Corner. And thanks to Mike Burnham. And thanks to you. Enjoy the sunshine today if you can. Get out if you can. Take care. Be safe. And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.